There was a eureka moment this week, and it was probably a major breakthrough for me, thanks to writing morning pages and reading through the Artist Way book. Welcome to week 8 update of the Artist Way. And I think one of the biggest was I was able to see a trend in my behavior, and that trend definitely helped me in now understanding how I behave in a certain way, and it's probably a major thing. I'm not saying it is unique to me or to anyone as such. Everyone will have their own journey, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people maybe a similar situation, if not exactly the same. So I'll share that while it is personal, I think it might help others. So with that intention, I want to share the Eureka moment. And I think without going into specific details, I would say that as I was writing things that I enjoy, and as I was writing some of my habits and my way of thinking, how I was growing up, all of that, and my behavior towards my parents, my brothers, and so on. What I noticed as a trend was that I was probably since the age of maybe 10 to 11, 12, I was actually spending most of my time doing things which I thought would please others, and that concept of pleasing others was probably ingrained fairly early in my life, and I stayed with that concept throughout, and even now I think. So there is a layer which lies between who you really are and who you think you are, and that layer is created by who you think you should be um, based on your intention to please people, based on your intention um, to do things that will please others. And though others can be anyone, it could be work colleagues, family, friends, the world around you, strangers in the park, everything, right? And I think that has been a kind of a major Europe, that that when I was digging deeper into trying to understand what it actually meant, I realized two things. One was the fact that either I was doing things because I was getting praised for that behavior, so I wanted to keep getting that praise. So I think that was one reason why I was doing some of those activities. I always wanted to be seen better than others, probably better than my brother, I guess. So with that intention, I kept following that behavior throughout. So that was one thing, and I think the second one was out of fear of getting told off, out of fear of being seen someone um, as someone who will get into trouble for not doing things in a certain way. I think that was what was kind of causing some of that behavior. So it was both. It was carrot as well as stick approach that was working because of my family when I was growing up, and I think that played a very strong role. And somewhere I think I lost touch with what I really wanted to do as a person, and very soon I was doing things that would please others, either because because of fear that I didn't want to get into trouble, or because I wanted to get the praise. And both were extremes actually, and neither of those two things are actually good. And I feel that one has to be very careful about that. And because I kind of started believing in all of that, I was removed gradually away from what I thought was the right thing for me, and I just kept doing things which I felt would please others, either out of fear or out of intention to seek praise and acceptance, and both are not good approaches to have. Now what happened was, as I grew, while those people for who I was doing those things to please them, while that influence reduced as I grew, as I became an adult, um, somewhere that habit of doing things to please others continued, and it continues even today. And because it it was formed when I was still a child. I did not know the difference between doing things because I'm trying to please others and doing things because I really wanted to do them myself. So I think that a bit of a yeah, she's a major distraction for me right now. She's having a good time, which is fantastic. I actually had to change my route for my walk today because there was another bunch of dogs, and then that change of route did not go very well with her. And she basically, we had to turn halfway through back because she didn't want to go any further. That kind of made her nervous. Didn't want to go further. Coming back to the topic on hand, and that is, she did not sorry um, so I forgot the difference between what I really wanted and what I thought I wanted, and I wanted to do to please others. And even when those people, because of who I formed the habit, were no more influencing my decisions, I was still doing things as per them. And I think because I was doing things as per them, as per that habit, actually not for them, I just kept telling myself that this is what I really wanted. And what I really wanted was different from what I was doing to please others. The whole societal expectations at work, at home, and I kind of started compromising on what really mattered to me. So I put myself second and I put everything else first. And because of that, I was going through life um, with kind of a double life, one that I really wanted to lead, and one that I thought I should be leading to kind of get acceptance from everyone else. And honestly, that is also, I mean, it might seem like I'm doing those things because I want to please others, and I'm putting myself secondary in the process. But I think this behavior is also a selfish behavior, because end of the day, when you want acceptance, you want it for your ego, to boost your ego, to feel good about yourself, to get that praise, to stay out of trouble, to be seen as a nice person, all of that. And that's also a selfish behavior, that's a ego driven behavior, and that is also not right. So I wouldn't say because you're doing things to please others, you're doing it in an unselfish way. That is also a selfish behavior, and in the process you're actually damaging yourself a lot. I felt one damage is the fact that you're not living the life you are meant to be. So you're not living to your fullest potential, and therefore that's not going to lead to great success. And secondly, because you're doing it for others, you think you're making others happy, but maybe others are not happy because their expectations will keep on changing. And no matter what you do, you're never going to please everyone every time and to the fullest extent. I mean, just look at yourself, and bring up any person in your life, whether it's your colleague at work or a family member or friend. Are you 100% satisfied with that person? Of course not. And even if that person gives their best to make sure that they make you happy, it's unlikely that you will be happy, because that's the human nature. We will always find things that don't meet our expectations. So vice versa, similarly, if you are trying to do things for others, it's never going to make them happy, and that is not going to help you either. And I think that was the zone I found myself to be in, doing things for others and deprioritizing my own needs. And the irony in the situation is that you don't even know this is happening. You actually tell the story to yourself, and you start believing that story, that this is what you want, whereas at a subconscious level you're doing it for others. And removing that layer has taken me so many years, and I did not even know that layer existed. And thanks to this book, The Artist Way, I was able to remove that layer and actually look beneath the surface. um, and I found something really interesting, that actually when you start uh, removing that fear of having to please others, or removing the ego of doing things to get that praise, it's a liberating moment. And you then start doing things that you really enjoy. And this is the interesting part, this is the tricky part, that actually you may end up doing probably the same things that you were doing earlier, at least some of them, but this time they are not driven by ego to get praise or fear to not disappoint others. You're doing it for yourself, and that drive is very different. That drive is much stronger and more fulfilling. So you could be doing exactly the same thing, but now you know why you're doing it. You're doing it because you enjoy doing it, and that is why it is coming from a lot more excitement point of view, and it is coming from enthusiasm internally. And I think that is really important. And I think in the book, that one sentence that Julia writes, that made a lot of difference to me. And that was, she says, stop yelling at yourself. And that kind of changed the whole outlook for me. And that is that while those people in my childhood who I was trying to please either because of fear or because of praise, while that influence was no more there, I took over that role without knowing that. I started playing that role for myself. So I started becoming self critical. I started, driving myself out of fear to say, get out of the bed, you need to go for a run. And sometimes it became more out of compulsion to say, let's have a routine, out of discipline, to be seen as an ideal person rather than something that I really enjoy doing. So even some of the fun activities like running and swimming, to a small extent, not to a great extent, to a small extent, became activities that I was doing out of fear of disappointing myself. I mean, that was the kind of expectation that I had set for myself. And now I give myself that permission that, on some days I don't feel like getting out of the bed. Maybe let's take a break. Your body is telling you to take rest. And it is completely okay to do that. And I think that was the main difference. So while I'm still doing those activities that I enjoy, like running, swimming, coming out for a walk with her, I'm enjoying those activities more because now they are driven from my happiness and not from that self-critical voice that is constantly shouting in my ears that you have to do this. What are you doing? You're a slacker. You're lazy, and you are procrastinating things that you need to do. So things like that. And I think that conflict, that constant conflict, um, takes a lot of energy in your body to maintain. That there is one voice to say you have to do this, and then there's a voice to say, can I skip for just one day? And that battle, takes a lot of energy to maintain, because both those personas are played by you, just one person playing those personas, right? So that energy is doubly getting invested from one side of fear and the other side of what I really want to do for myself. And we need to kind of reduce that conflict through self-love, and that is the only way you can quieten that voice down, is to start loving yourself, start doing things because you enjoy doing those things. And gradually that voice will realize that, hang on, maybe I don't need to play this role because he is already doing things that he should be doing, and he's enjoying it. So if once that starts happening, then that voice will probably realize that there's no role for me to play here, so I will probably just stop talking. That voice may not completely go, and I don't know, I haven't reached that stage yet. I've kind of just started. As I said, this week I had the eureka moment, and I've just started down that path now. So I'll have to see how it goes, but it is extremely liberating to do that. And I think people around you gradually start to sense that energy. They may not realize it immediately, but they gradually start to kind of sense that energy, and start to kind of accept your new choices. Those new choices may not be drastic, and I think we are all people of habit. So it will take some time to change those old habits, for sure. But I think that change is possible. So I think that was my one of eureka moments this week. And I think the purpose of this book is served if this was the only purpose of the book, because that's a huge win for me. And I think I really appreciate having that win, for sure. What are the other things? I created the book, or rather a kind of a book with some of the images that kind of excited me. So that's what I've created. Actually, this week I struggled to do many of the other activities that I should be doing, which is fine. Again, as I said, I'm giving myself that liberty to kind of take it at my own pace. This book, The Artist Way, is not something that you can rush through in life. It has to be done with a lot of patience and practice, I guess. So you can't really just sit down and read it for the sake of reading the book. And I think that is what I've been able to focus on this week. So while some of the activities that I should be doing I haven't been able to do, I'm happy with the progress made so far. So that's been a good thing. So this is the takeaway from this week, and that is, write your journal, write down things that you enjoy doing, write down some of the things that influence you in your childhood, and try to understand why. And most importantly, give yourself space and give yourself time to be yourself all the time, and do things that you really enjoy doing, absolutely things that are very important to you, like for me being with this one here. And that should kind of get rid of the guilt feeling or the fear, and just go on. And I think the only purpose of life is to live your life to your fullest potential, and you can achieve that potential only when you get out of that fear of disappointing yourself or disappointing others, and do things only for the sake of doing those things that you enjoy, because that will lead you to create something that is beautiful. The best work is achieved, or the best results are achieved, when work is no more work. It becomes play. So create your work environment in a way that it becomes fun. Things that you really like, your toys from the childhood, or some fun elements around your desk. Create that, and have fun in what you're doing. I mean, the moment you realize you're not having fun, just take a pause, take a break, rest, and then figure out things like this one is doing right, enjoying things because she enjoys to be in the grass. She's eaten quite a bit of grass as well, so I hope it is not too bad for her. But yeah, so let me thank you very much, guys. That was week 8 wrap. I'll come back next week as well with the remaining weeks. So now, with 8 weeks gone, now 4 more weeks to go, and I'll create a wrap up video as well for the whole book and for the whole 12-week program. Alright, guys, have fun and do things that you love to do.